I have days where I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. Just leave me alone. And it's not because I don't like you or nothing. I could be in the room. Awkward silence makes me happy.
I have become so accustomed to being alone that that's all I know now. My mind can't even process or fathom being with anybody. I'm too comfortable with being alone.
I think I've been just so used to just doing me, being alone, that letting someone in is almost scary.
Some men have always liked being alone, but other men, life taught them to like it. And those are two very different men because there's a certain kind of man who can go an entire weekend without seeing anybody and be completely fine. No party, no crowded bar, no plans he secretly doesn't want to attend. Give him some food, something he enjoys doing, a quiet house, and nobody asking him for anything. And honestly, he might be having the best weekend he's had all month. And the older something gets, the more they seem to enjoy it. Their circle gets smaller. They stop going places because everybody else is going. They stop answering every call. They stop making excuses for why they don't want to come. And eventually, people start asking, what happened to you? Maybe nothing happened. Maybe he just figured out something that nobody gets comfortable with. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. A lonely man wants connection and doesn't have it. This man, he can have people around him. He just doesn't need people around him all the time. And men who genuinely enjoy being alone tend to share some very interesting traits. Some of these are going to sound very familiar, but the last two explains why some men become even more comfortable alone as they get older. Number 1, silence doesn't make him uncomfortable. His phone can go quiet and he's fine. Nobody texted, fine. No plans this weekend, fine. Nobody called today, honestly, he might not even notice. Some people get uncomfortable when nothing is happening. This man doesn't. He can drive somewhere and not call anybody, eat by himself, work on something for 3 hours without saying a word. And the silence, it doesn't feel empty to him. It feels normal. Sometimes it feels good. This shows up in friendship too. Some men can genuinely care about each other, not speak for 2 weeks, then pick up exactly where they left off. Now, relationships, it could get a little bit complicated because if he's dating someone who connects through constant communication, she might be thinking, why hasn't he texted me? Meanwhile, this man is at Home Depot comparing two things that look exactly the same to everybody else except him.
I do want love. I do want a wife. I do want family. But I just have to figure out how to do this in my own regards and being happy.
He loves you. He just isn't thinking, I should probably send update number 7 for the day. And yes, sometimes a man isn't texting because he's not interested. But with some men, quiet does not mean distance. They just don't need constant contact to feel connected. Number 2, he doesn't explain every no anymore. This one usually comes with age. When he's younger, you coming out tonight? Um, I don't know. I might have something going on. Then he gets older. You coming? No. Why? Because I don't feel like it. And that's it. And some people hate that answer because apparently saying no requires paperwork now. A good excuse, maybe a witness. But this man eventually realizes yes, I can just say no. He doesn't need to attend every event or spend 4 hours somewhere he doesn't want to be, just so nobody doesn't think he's boring. The more comfortable he becomes with being alone, the harder he becomes to pressure. You need to get out more. I'm good. He's no longer letting everybody else decide what a good life is supposed to look like. He's figured out what he enjoys, and sometimes what he enjoys is going home. Number 3, he notices how people make him feel after they leave. This one, it's huge. Because once a man gets comfortable with his own company, he has something to compare other people's company to. There are people you can spend 3 hours with and it feels like it's just been 30 minutes. They leave and you think, wow, that was nice. And then there are other people, and 15 minutes feels like a hostage situation. Everything is wrong. Their job, their ex, their family, their neighbor, somebody disrespected them, somebody owes them money. Every single time you see them, there's a brand new emergency. And when they finally leave, you close that door and stand there for a second, like, bruh. A man who enjoys being alone starts noticing the difference. And eventually, he starts asking questions most people don't ask enough. How do I feel after spending time with this person? That question will tell you a lot because you can love somebody and still realize they drain you. You can date someone you're attracted to and still notice that you feel more relaxed when they go home. And once a man starts noticing that, his circle usually gets smaller. Not because he suddenly hates anyone or anything. No, he just stops pretending everybody deserves the same access to him. Number four, an empty weekend sounds good to him. Some people look at an empty Saturday and think, I need plans. But this man looks like an empty Saturday and thinks, perfect, because he knows how to entertain himself. Maybe he's working on his car, gaming, maybe cooking, maybe watching some documentary nobody else cares about, fishing, maybe working out, or sitting outside with a cup of coffee doing absolutely nothing. And ladies, sometimes that is the plan. Very exciting. But he's having a good time. That's what people miss. A quiet life doesn't automatically mean an empty life. A man can have a whole list of things he enjoys that doesn't require another person standing right next to him. No interruptions, no explaining what he's doing. He gets into his little world and he disappears for a few hours. The point is, he doesn't need an audience. He doesn't need people to witness a good Saturday before it counts. He already knows whether he enjoyed it or not. Number five, he can love you and still want you to leave him alone. Ladies, this one causes so much misunderstanding. You spend the whole day together. Everything is fine. Nobody argued. You had a good time. Then you get home. And this man disappears. Garage, headphones, computer, backyard, wherever his little corner is. And you're thinking, what happened? Nothing happened. This man is watching a 46-minute video about some tool he is never going to buy. He is fine. He just wants nobody to talk to him for a minute. And I know that can feel strange if you recharge through closeness, because you might think, if we had such a good day, why doesn't he want to keep spending time together? Because some people can enjoy connection and still need a break from connection. That doesn't mean they regret the time with you. Their battery just works differently. Now, fellas, don't start. You can't disappear emotionally for 6 months and come back talking about, Remi said I need space. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because that's not what I said. Okay? If your woman has to guess if you like her or not, that's a communication problem. But there is a healthy middle ground. A man can love his woman and love an hour where nobody asks him anything. He could be a good father and still need 10 minutes sitting in a car before walking into the house. Some men need that little gap. Work is over. Just 10 minutes. No boss, no kids, no questions. And sometimes that little bit of space is exactly what helps him walk back into his life with a better attitude.
Solitude gives a man clarity. It lets him hear himself again. It sharpens his intuition. It strengthens his boundaries.
Number six, some of these men didn't fall in love with being alone. They just got tired. Now, this is where the video changes a little because some men have always been this way. Quiet kid, small circle, could play by himself all day, never needed much attention. That's just him. But some of you, you were not like that at all. You used to go everywhere. You knew everybody. Every weekend had plans. Phone always ringing. Then, somewhere along the way, that changed. Maybe it wasn't one big thing either. Sometimes it's a bunch of little things. A friend you always showed up for who never had time when you needed something. People who only called when there was a problem to fix. Relationships that slowly became more exhausting than enjoyable. Always being the one listening, the one who pays, the one who drives, the one who figures it out, the one who stays calm. And after enough of that, some men don't exactly fall in love with solitude. They just get tired. Tired of being available, tired of being needed, tired of explaining themselves, tired of walking into situations already knowing somebody is about to ask them for something. Then they pull back a little. They stop answering every call. They stop going everywhere. They stop volunteering for everything. And suddenly, life gets quiet. And that quiet feels good. That's when things start to change. Because once a man experiences peace after years of noise, he may become very protective of it. But fellas, I do have to call something out here because sometimes I just like being alone really does mean I just like being alone. Cool. But some of you have not trusted another human being since 2017. That is not exactly the same conversation. Sometimes I like my peace, it's true. And sometimes it sounds a lot better than saying, I don't want to give anyone another chance to disappoint me. You have to know the difference. If you can connect with people, you just don't need constant connection. Fine. But if someone genuinely good enters your life and your first instinct is to push them away because everybody eventually leaves, now we're talking about something else. Which brings me to the biggest trait. Number 7. People aren't competing with his loneliness, they're competing with his peace. This is the one, especially when it comes to dating. Imagine a man has built a life he genuinely likes. His home is quiet, his bills are handled, his routine works, he has his hobbies, his weekends. If he wants to spend Sundays watching football, he does. If he wants to sleep late, he does. If he wants to spend 4 hours doing something completely indifferent, nobody cares because his life might not be perfect, but nobody's is. But it's peaceful. Now, bring another person into that life. Suddenly, there are compromises, schedules, there's plans, another person's feelings, another person's family, another opinion about what you're doing Saturday. That's a relationship. That's normal. You don't get companionship without having to consider somebody else. But here's what changes when a man genuinely enjoys being alone. He isn't choosing between you or loneliness, he's choosing between you or a life he already likes. That is a completely different competition. And ladies, sometimes you're not competing with another woman, you're competing with his peace. And peace is hard to beat. Sorry. But that doesn't mean a woman has to tiptoe around a man. Come on. It doesn't mean never disagreeing. It doesn't mean everything has to be his way because he likes his peace. No. A healthy relationship has two people in it. Both people, they adjust. But if every conversation turns into tension, if everything becomes a demand, if he feels more relaxed when you leave than when you arrive, he's going to notice that, especially if he already knows exactly what his life feels like when he's alone. Women can feel this way too. Anybody who builds a life they enjoy becomes careful about who they let change it. But with some men, this is why they become more selective as they get older. It's not necessarily, I don't want love. Sometimes it's, I do want love. I just don't want it badly enough to ruin the life that I already have. That's different. He may still want companionship, affection, somebody to laugh with, somebody who actually cares whether he made it home. He just doesn't want a relationship simply so he can say he has one. Because being single doesn't scare him anymore. He already knows how to live there. And once a man reaches that point, you can't sell him a relationship by telling him he shouldn't be alone. He already knows alone is fine. The relationship has to actually be good. And that's what people misunderstand about these men. They're not all sitting at home secretly miserable. Some of them are having a great night. Food in the refrigerator, bills handled, something good on TV. Maybe they're doing absolutely nothing. Nobody is arguing. Nobody needs a favor. Nobody is asking them to go somewhere that he doesn't want to go. And for the first time all week, nobody wants anything from him. That man might not be lonely at all. He might finally be relaxed. But I don't want to romanticize it too much either, because I already know somebody is typing, exactly, I don't need anybody. All right, calm down, calm down, calm down. There's nothing impressive about turning disappointment into permanent isolation. Being comfortable alone is one thing. Being unable to let anyone get close is another. You can enjoy solitude and still love people. You can have boundaries and still have relationships. You can be independent without becoming unreachable. The goal isn't, I need nobody. It's probably closer to, I don't need everybody. That's the thread connecting all 7 traits. This man becomes selective with his time, his attention, his energy, his relationships, and especially his peace. So now I want to ask the men watching a question. And don't just say yes. I actually want to hear the story. If you're a man who prefers being alone, were you always this way? Or did life make you this way? Because I have a feeling those are 2 completely different groups of men. It's been your girl from Rene here. I'll see you guys in my next video.